those of you who liked and thumbs upped my Disney vacation video, thank you so much. It's probably one of the most likes I've gotten on a video in quite a while. And at the end of the video, I had said to like or thumbs up the video if you wanted to see me do a tips and advice for visiting a Disney theme park. And since I got so many, I'm gonna do it. So stay tuned if you would like to hear my tips and advice for having a better Disney vacation. One of the first tips is going to be a hard lesson that Neil and I had to learn, and it's gonna sound silly, but remember to bring your baby and toddler's shoes. When we took Ian to a Disney park for the very first time, he was 2 years old, and we weren't really letting him walk around like when we would go out places very much. He would usually be in a stroller or a cart. So if he didn't have shoes on, it just was never a big deal. We did put shoes on him on the way to the Disney park, but at some point between our house and the park, he kicked off his shoes, and when we got him out of the car to put him in the stroller and everything, we just weren't even, it didn't even register on our radar that he didn't have shoes on. So we packed up the stroller, got Ian in, the diaper bag, everything, and then we had to take a bus because if you've been to a Disney theme park, you know that the parking lots are kind of away from the park. You have to park in the parking lot, then you get on a bus, the bus drives you over to the park. So we got on the bus, we rode to the park, we checked in and everything, and then we walked around Disney. We found a ride that we wanted to ride, waited in a half-hour line only to be told that we could not ride because Ian didn't have shoes on. That was when we even realized he didn't have shoes on in the first place, but they told us that no ride in the entire Disney park was going to let him on without any shoes. So it kind of sucked. We were going to be there for 3 days, so we did have 2 days of, being able to ride rides. And we could have gone back to the car. They have buses coming back and forth all day, so we could have gone back to the car. But it was just such a hassle, and the parking lot where we parked was not very close to the park, so having to go all the way back to the front of the park, get back on the bus, ride the bus back to our car, find our car, get his shoes, get back on the bus, ride back to the park. It would have probably taken us 30 to 40 minutes to do all of this, and it just wasn't worth it to us that first day. So we mostly just enjoyed the parades, the shows. You can still go on the shows without any shoes on, but we did not get to ride any rides the first day. So remember to bring your baby and toddler's shoes. Remember to have those on before you get into the theme park. It's very important if you want to fully enjoy all of the rides and attractions. Is food. Now, if you want to splurge on food, I highly suggest you do it. Disney food is some of the best food I have ever eaten. Everything I ate is just so delicious. So Neil and I always budget to spend a lot of money on food. It's expensive, but it's good, and we think it's worth it. But if you're wanting to save money on food, Disney has a rule about bringing food into the park, and that they say that you cannot do it. But I think it's more for large quantities of food. So if you have a large group that you're taking, they're probably not going to let you bring enough food to feed everybody. They're probably going to have you leave your cooler or your food or whatever you're bringing in one of the lockers in the very entrance of the park. Not a big deal. There's tables there, and so whenever you guys get hungry, just walk towards the front of the park, go into your locker, and you can eat your food there. But I have found that with just Neil, Ian, and I mean, there's only 3 of us, and we don't require a lot of food, so usually we just pack like 3 sandwiches, some chips, and water, and I have always fully disclosed the fact that I'm bringing that food into the park, and they've never had any problem with me bringing that small amount of food into the park. So, and we like that much better because then, whenever we get hungry, we don't have to walk all the way back to the front of the park. We can just kind of eat wherever we want. So yeah, I would say try to bring your food into the park, but be prepared that they might ask you to leave your food in a locker, but that's not a big deal. If you're going to splurge and get food, which I highly suggest, some of my favorite foods are Dole Whip. They have this both at Disney World and Disneyland. I'm not quite sure where in the park you would get it at Disney World, but you can ask any of the employees and they'll tell you. But at Disneyland, you will find it at the Enchanted Tiki Room. This is one of the original Disney attractions. It is also the attraction with the most animatronics out of any of the other attractions at the park. We were told that one has the most animatronics. So that's really cool. I love the Disney little animatronic thingies. They're so cool. This one has the birds. Basically everything in this room moves, and just when you think everything is done moving, something else moves. It's crazy. The flowers in the room sing, the birds sing, the tiki guys sing. Everything in that room moves and sings, and it's just this big show, and it's not super short either, so I like that. So you're not waiting in a long line for like a 2-minute show, but it's not super long either, so your littles will be fine. But right outside, like right before you walk into the tiki room, there's the Dole Tiki Bar. You know Dole, who makes pineapples? Well, they sponsor the Enchanted Tiki Room area with the bar and everything, and Dole Whips are so yummy. It's basically a soft serve pineapple flavored ice cream, but it tastes exactly like Dole pineapples, and the consistency is like very buttery. It's just the smoothest soft. Disney has the best soft serve ice cream, so get yourself some soft serve ice cream, even if you don't go for the Dole Whip, if pineapple's not your thing. Any of the vendors that have soft serve ice cream at Disney, delish, you must have some. But I highly suggest having a Dole Whip because it is amazing. Also, they have Dole Whip floats, which is a cup. It has pineapple juice in the bottom and then the Dole Whip soft serve ice cream on top. So yummy. Definitely try one of those. You'll find it near the Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion and the area where they do the Fantasmic show. So find that area. That's where the Enchanted Tiki Room is. But if you can't find it, again, just ask a Disney employee. They'll be happy to point you in the right direction. Another food we really enjoyed was... it's a bread bowl. Again, it's near the Pirates of the Caribbean ride and the Haunted Mansion ride. It's all in that same area. But I can't remember the name of the restaurant. But again, ask a Disney employee. They will tell you. But there's these bread bowls. Oh my gosh. They have two types. There's the clam chowder one. And then there's also it's like a spicy steak stew in a bread bowl. It's amazing. It's delicious. Your little kids might find it a little bit spicy, so they might not like it. You might want to go for the clam chowder for them. But yeah, for your older taste buds, definitely get the spicy steak stew in the bread bowl. It's so yummy. If you are getting park hopper passes, or if you're only going to the Adventureland side of Disney, go to Cars Land. You know, Disney Cars, they have a Cars Land there. And where the cozy cones are, those are actually little restaurants there. They're so cute. And one of them serves something called chili cone queso. It is a pretzel like cone, and then inside is chili and cheese and little Fritos in the bottom. It's so yummy. Get one of those. So those are my favorite things to eat at Disney. But basically all the food is delicious. I don't think you can go wrong. My next tip is about rides. My favorite rides, ones I definitely think you should check out. In the California Adventureland side of the park, the Little Mermaid ride. It is one of Ian's favorites. It's one of my favorites. There's tons of animatronics going on. They go through the whole story of the Little Mermaid Disney movie. Like, they start at the beginning, they go to the end. It's not a long ride, so they are going to be skipping parts. But you get the gist of the movie, especially if you've already seen it. But you go in and they have an Ursula, and she's like, you know, doing her little song thingy, and she's really creepy and awesome looking. And then they have the Under the Sea song. That's the big part of the show. And all the fish are dancing and everything. You get to see Ariel like 2 or 3 times. They have her and Eric in the boat in the lagoon, and it's just really fun to see, especially if you are a lover of the Little Mermaid movie. Definitely check out that ride. It's also a ride that tends to have a quick line, because it's not a ride that like stops, loads, and then goes, and then you have to wait till it comes back around to load the next set of people. It's a continuous revolving little ride. They're like little seashells that you get in, and so there's tons of little seashells that are moving the whole time. So you go around and the seashell never stops, but it goes slow, so when it comes back around you hop off of it while it's moving, and the next people hop on while it's moving. So it's a very short line, so that's really good for the little kids who don't want to wait in such a long line. Next one is Pirates of the Caribbean ride. That's going to be in the Disneyland side of the park. I love that ride. It might be a little scary for some children. Ian doesn't really understand things that are scary yet, so he didn't find it scary, he just liked it. But if your kids are small and they understand things that are scary and things that are not, it might be too scary for them. Just letting you know. But for little kids that don't understand quite yet and won't be scared by pirates, just basically, if you would let your kid watch the movie Pirates of the Caribbean and they're fine with it, they'll probably be fine with this ride. And I thought it was awesome. It doesn't really, I didn't feel, it didn't like stay true to the movie or anything like that. I mean, if you're going in there to kind of like watch the movie, it's not going to happen like the Little Mermaid one. You're not getting a story. You're just seeing stuff and it's cool. So just go watch it. Next is the Cars Land Cars Racers that's going to be in the California Adventureland side. It's really fun, but there is a height limit. Ian is still not big enough to get on it, so he hasn't enjoyed it. But Neil and I went on when my sister and brother-in-law came with us, so they were able to watch Ian while we went on. And it's really, really fun. I loved the Cars Racers ride. I think the height requirement is 42 inches, so maybe when your kid is like a tall 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, they'll finally be able to ride that ride, but it's definitely worth it and it's so much fun. The Monsters Inc. ride's really, really fun. That one does kind of go through the movie, so that's really fun, and Ian knows that movie, so he understood the ride and he really liked it. Gotta go faster than this. Okay, next up is shows that you should definitely see. We really liked the Muppet Show. That one's great for all ages. It's not going to scare anybody. Really fun show, and Ian loved it. I think it was 3D if I'm not mistaken, but don't quote me on that. Another one is the Bugs Life show. This one is a 3D show. You have to wear the little 3D goggles. Ian found it too scary. He kept asking to leave. And this one's going to be in the California Adventureland side. Neil and I thought it was awesome, but there was one point actually where it did scare me a little bit. There's like one part of the ride where a bug comes out and decides to fumigate all the humans in the audience. So they shoot out this like smoke into the audience, and the smoke is so thick that you can't even see your hand in front of your face. And it kind of, I'm very claustrophobic, and that did make me feel panicked for a few seconds because it just comes out of nowhere. I didn't know it was coming, and the whole room just fills up with thick white smoke. Ian was sitting right next to me and I couldn't see him. I couldn't see anything. Your vision is just completely blanked out by this white smoke. But it only lasts a few seconds. It goes away, but I did find that scary, and Ian did not like it. He was kind of freaked out when it happened. So yeah. There's another part when I think scary bugs fly out into the audience. Well, you mean through the 3D goggles, and Ian found that scary too, and he just kept asking to leave. So it might be scarier for your little kids, and for those of you who are claustrophobic, you probably won't like the smoke part of the show. World of Color, where is this one? I believe this one is in California Adventure side, and I think it's worth it to see. Now that I have seen it a couple times, you know, I'm not that interested in watching it again. To me, it's almost the same show every time, so I think it's definitely worth seeing once, so definitely see it one time. And especially if your little kids like it, then go see it as many times as you want to see it. But now that I've seen it, you know, one time and I've had the experience, I don't find it necessary to see it over and over and over again, but I did enjoy it the first couple times that I watched. Fantasmic, this is going to be in the Disneyland side of the park. Neil loves this show. I am kind of I've seen it once person, I don't need to see it again, but Neil loves it so much that we have to see it every single time we go to Disneyland. He loves this show. It's basically a show about the wizard Mickey Mouse, and then all the bad villains come together, and I'm not quite sure what they're trying to do, but they're just being bad, and then Mickey has to come in and save the day, and then at the end of the show, all the Disney characters, like everybody in the park that's dressed up as Buzz Lightyear or Disney princesses or just anybody who's anybody dressed up as a Disney park character gets on these like ferry boats, and they kind of go in the water and they wave at everybody. So it's a great chance to get pictures of your favorite Disney characters and see everybody. So it's definitely worth it. Tip. That show and the World of Color show fill up very fast. So if you're wanting to get a good seat to those shows, you need to come probably an hour before the show starts and pick out a seat and just have one person in your group kind of just hold your place setting for you. It sucks, but if you want good seats, that's what you got to do. For the World of Color show, you just kind of grab anywhere. It's kind of just standing room. But if you want to get a good seat at the Fantasmic show, there's a restaurant It's right by the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, and it's also right where you would get that delicious bread bowl I was telling you about. There's a restaurant and they have seating there. There's umbrellas. I'm not quite sure what the name of the restaurant is, but you'll see it. There's like umbrellas there. Go an hour before the show, maybe even an hour and a half before the show, and get your seats there because it's kind of uplifted, so the people who are standing down below, their heads aren't going to be in the way. And then you have seating and you have the perfect view of the show. It's awesome seating. That's where you want to be. Yeah. It sucks that you have to go so early in advance to get a seat, but that show fills up fast, and if you don't go early, you're not going to get a seat.